Okay. I'd like to call to order the Gateway Board of School Directors study session meeting for Monday, June 7th, 2021. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Mrs. Isha, whenever you're ready for roll call.
Mrs. Cerrucci.
Here.
Mrs. Delaney.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Gottman.
Here.
Mr. McIntyre.
Here.
Ms. Mungo.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Mrs. Warning. And Mr. Williams.
Here. All right. First up, we have a presentation from the Pennsylvania School Board Association, Mr. Jim Somerville. So Mr. Somerville, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Jim Somerville, I'm a member services manager at the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. And my reason for joining you tonight is to just go over some of the programs and services and live events that we offer to our members. In the spirit of time, I'm going to go over a PowerPoint, and then I'm going to release that to the whole board either this evening or sometime tomorrow. And in addition, I'll send you another document called Talking Points. And a lot of the information I give you, you'll be able to self-study. A lot of the information will be hyperlinked right to our website, so you won't have to mine the information. There's a lot of things in there about various programs, from our human resources services to education and training to policy to government affairs and advocacy. So without further ado, I'll begin with the PowerPoint, and you should be seeing a panel that says member update. Let me know if you are.
Before you do that, Bonnie, I believe you have to stop sharing your screen.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry, there it is. Okay.
Okay, Jim, can you share yours?
Let me give it a go. You should see a blue panel that says member update.
Yep, we see it.
Okay, wonderful. That's just the title slide. And then, like I mentioned, I will be forwarding this to you, and it has all my contact information, my name, job title, my email address, and my cell number. And I would encourage any board members that want to learn more about what we're doing at PSBA and how we can support the mission of the district to reach out to me directly. If I can't answer the questions, I'm a pretty good triage person. I can get you to the right people at PSBA to help you with whatever it is that you need. We break into teams at PSBA, and I'm actually a member of the member services team. And one of the things we've offered over the last several years, which is actually becoming a pretty robust service, is human resources services. Included within the human resource services are we write job descriptions for school districts, and we do this through a digital platform. And we work with the district so that all the job descriptions are customized to the district, and they also are branded with the district's logo. All of the professional positions align with the CSPGs, or the Certification in Staffing and Policy Guidelines. Any licensed positions, such as a nurse or a psychologist, would align with those various licenses. Our Career Gay is a job search network. That's a free service, or if you will, a value-added service to our districts. If you're looking for staff, primarily professional staff up through the administrative ranks, could be some people in IT, it could be people in your building and grounds management area. You can advertise your positions on Career Gateway. It casts a pretty broad net, and hopefully, it can help you find some qualified candidates when you're seeking them. Compensation studies and staffing studies. These are fee-for-service position or programs, so those costs are not embedded in the cost of your membership. The staffing studies allows you to see if you are right-sized as a district. So we would be looking at districts that were comparable to Gateway to the extent that they have comparable enrollment, a comparable budget, staff, aid ratios. It would be a suburban district, so we're as close as we can to comparing an apple to an apple. And then on the other side, the compensation study side, we would do some comparative analysis relative to your salaries and benefits and what you're paying to make sure you maintain some competitiveness in the market, so that you have success recruiting and retaining the best staff. And then one of the most recent things we've launched is what's called a superintendent evaluation. We're doing it now digitally, and it's through a company called Metrics Ed. You can pay $600 for the beefed up program, but we also have one right now that's going to be offered as a complimentary service as long as you get in the pipeline by the end of this month. So if you're in the posture of doing a superintendent evaluation and you want to try the new digital format, just get in the pipeline by letting me know that no later than June 30th. And even if you're not doing your superintendent's evaluation until July, as long as we get you in the pipeline by June 30th, we can get that for you as a complimentary service. Okay. Tells you a little bit more here about it. Again, it's complimentary to June 30th. We're going to do the same things when you evaluate your superintendent, Dr. Short. It's going to be mutually agreed upon objective performance standards. I think the platform, which is digital, is just a lot cleaner, it's more customized, and the feedback we're getting is very positive. Right now, I believe we've had about 60 districts have expressed interest in utilizing the tool, and I want to say we're up to almost 10 that have actually instituted it and are implementing it to evaluate superintendents at this time. This is what's called a board self-assessment, and this actually is a way for the board to do some self-reflection on how effective they think they're functioning as a team of 10. That would be your non-elected officials and your superintendent. This is also a complimentary service that we offer to members, and it's based on the principles of governance and leadership, which include things like advocacy, leadership, communication, acting ethically, being transparent, planning, etc. Basically, what you would do is take a survey, usually takes up to about 30 minutes. And then what we do is we compare the results of the survey as they match up to the principles for governance and leadership. At that point, I would release a report to Dr. Short, Mr. Gottman, and I would interpret the results to them. And then what we do is if you have areas in the report that show that you'd like to have some growth, we prescribe a learning plan. So if you want to get really busy in the area of advocacy, we have some classes and some professional development we can prescribe that would help you in that area. And the same thing goes for things like acting ethically, planning, governance, leadership, etc. One of the things that really hit PSBA pretty heavy in the last 2 or 3 years is an equity program. Dr. Heather Bennett is both a Juris Doctorate and an educational doctorate, and she's the Director of Equity Services. We're getting a lot of traction across the Commonwealth with equity, and it really is kind of like a chameleon. It changes its face based on where you are. I have 166 school districts. I have districts that graduate about 45 or 50 kids. I have districts that have 21,000 students in their enrollment. I have urban districts, I have suburban districts, and I have districts that are extremely rural. I have districts that have a very blended racial mix or ethnic mix. I have some that are very homogeneous. I have some districts that are so rural that they can't even get adequate broadband. So you can imagine what that did to them when they were trying to go remote due to the pandemic. So those equity issues, I always describe them as being somewhat like a chameleon. What may be affecting a district such as Gateway may not be as big of a deal to an urban district like Pittsburgh or a suburban district like Clarion Limestone. And then we have equity services embedded in our website, a lot of information there to read about. And one of the things we're just beginning to see the tip of the iceberg on are people are beginning to ask us questions about critical race theory in the 1619 project. So I think that information and how schools are going to look at that, we're going to try to embed that in our equity program, and really more as an educational information sharing thing. We're really not taking any position on any of the rhetoric or any of the stuff that's being discussed publicly, but we're going to offer some information for people that want to invest the time to find out where that's all going. And I've just in the last week or so had a couple of districts request that information from me. The Energy Solutions Program is just what it says. We've aligned with a company that can come in and assess your energy consumption utilization and see if there's some opportunities for you to save some money through reducing energy or finding more affordable means of producing the energy. They can even go as far as getting some renewable energy sources such as solar panels on your campus or on your properties to hopefully generate that information, store it, transmit it, etc. The other thing it does, especially for more urban areas and suburban areas like Gateway, You might even be able to lower your carbon footprint in that area. And a lot of people that are really eco-friendly have that's a concern for them. So I tell people that nothing in the world's free. This is free to the extent that it's really more of an investment of time by your staff, most likely your facilities people and your business manager, to see if this program could be of any benefit to you. But there is no, you don't lay any money out to participate in the program. So to that extent, it's not really something that's going to strain your budgets. Our crisis communications program is another value add or complementary service. We put this together about 3.5 years ago. I think it'll be for this Labor Day. We partnered with a company called the Donovan Group, which is a public relations company. And what they do is they will craft public relations and crisis communications for districts when something has happened in the greater school community that really shakes the community. And it can be something such as a bad accident, or maybe a student is in a fatal accident. It could be the loss of life of a staff member. It could be an active shooter on campus. It could be some type of outbreak of violence on your campus, where maybe the kids get into some type of a riotous situation. While your administrators are working on handling those matters based on your policies and board operating guidelines and administrative regulations, these people can put out very quick, effective public relations to kind of simmer things down and make sure that good information is getting out, properly worded. They can do press releases. They can give you talking points for the media, whether that be print, radio, or TV, even things you can post on your website just to keep people up to date. Crafting that type of communications is a real skill, and they have various templates based on the crisis you may be facing. So I would encourage anybody that has an interest in that to look into that. And if, again, after I present tonight, you have any questions, just use my email address or my cell number to reach out to me. The Year in Learning, we have a very robust education and training department, and it's really gaining some traction to the extent that they're doing a lot of customized workshops on things like how boards should set board level goals. Those goals will typically align with the goals enumerated in your comprehensive plan and your superintendent's agreement. In addition, they do some on-site training. Hopefully we're going to be back on the road doing on-site training, but they do things like roles and responsibilities training. They can help districts do workshops to help them improve board culture, and a number of other things. There are a lot of digital learning opportunities on our website. And this being an election year, there will be the required school director training for newly elected members of your board, as well as people that are reelected. And so we're going to hold, I believe, 3 live events so people can go and have in-person training, but a lot of that training you can take advantage of online. So you might want to keep your eyes and ears open. Good place to look for that information on our website is in our daily edition. It probably comes to you as an email. And that information will be coming out later in the year, closer to or right after the general election. If I haven't told you enough about PSBA yet, you can stay connected by uploading our app. And what we've done to feature the app is to show 3 programs that we put into place in the last 15 months. The weekly buzz is for board leadership. And I will tell you that Ms. Warning and Mr. Ritter are very faithful attendees at our Tuesday weekly buzz. We have guest speakers in for the first half hour, followed by a period of question and answers. Then the second half hour, we go into geographical breakout rooms and we discuss anything that we need to discuss. We've had people in there from the mental health sector. We're going to have people in from transportation companies that came in and told us how they were going to try to help us solve the transportation issues that were inherent to the COVID. We've had people from PDE come in and talk about learning loss. And so, I think John has been reporting back to the board as your liaison on a regular basis, but that's been a really good program for us, and we're looking to continue that into the future. And then if you're not a liaison, a vice president, or a president, the monthly exchange is for all school directors. And again, it's the 3rd Thursday of the month at 12:30. And then we also have one that's designed for your school board secretaries. We believe they play an extremely critical role in the district, and this gives them an opportunity to get some professional development on a monthly basis and to build a network with other school board secretaries across the Commonwealth, because there are some challenges in those positions that are unique unto themselves. So it's a good place for them to go and have a collaborative group that are facing some of the similar challenges on a regular basis. Our school leadership conference historically has been at the Hershey facility, And then last year we went remote due to the COVID. We're going to go live and in person again this year, but there's been a decision to move it from Hershey to the Kalahari resorts up in the Poconos. So I would look on the website for registration information, cost, and all the different presentations that would be available. I think the registration opened either last Friday or today. So it's out there for the taking. Additional resources, we have what's called the State of Education Report. I typically give a shout out to Andy Christ, who works for PSBA. He compiles this information and it gives you a lot of really good data from PDE that describes things affecting the finances of public education, revenue streams, and student achievement. It's a really good resource to have. And so is the Bulletin Magazine, which comes out bi-monthly. A lot of good articles in there that tell you what's happening in public ed. There's a lot of vendors that advertise in there, and there's also some really good articles in there about school law. And we often have guest writers that are current sitting school board members who will write information about what's going on in their district. So it's not a real heavy type of reading, but it's very contemporary and very applicable to what's going on at this moment in time. So I would invite you to read that. And at this point, it's being offered as a digital magazine. And what's nice about that is if you have a couple past issues that you didn't get through, you can just pull them right up digitally and start where you ended off the last time. So it's pretty convenient. Another way we're trying to push information out about all things public ed is through the Keystone Radio program, and it's mostly I get my tongue twisted here, podcasts, and a lot of different things that people are discussing in public education. I have some members that like it because they can listen to these on the way to and from work. They may not have time to drive half an hour, 40 minutes home from work and cut the grass and sit down with a magazine and read. So they get these kinds of things out of the way during some downtime. And so this is just another place you can go to hear about all things public ed. One of the most raging things going on today is trying to get some reform to the charter funding program. We have a fellow named Larry Feinberg, who is a seated board member in Haverford School District out east. I think John has heard him speak before. This man has made it a personal challenge to try to improve how charter and cyber schools are funded and made more accountable and more transparent, et cetera. He's put a whole lot of work into this, as has PSBA. And the weight behind this is even bigger than PSBA. We also are involved with other organizations such as the Pennsylvania Association, school administrators, the business officials, and PSEA, the largest teachers union in the state, because we all have a vested interest in making this better. I'm getting real close to the end here, so bear with me. The Success Starts Here program was our answer to public relations on behalf of public schools. This part of our website will also give your constituents and people in your community, might be really good for new people in the community that just moved in, to get a thumbnail sketch of what makes up Gateway School District. It'll give you your enrollment, your breakdown of male and female students, it gives you your breakdown, and a whole lot of other things relative to student achievement, graduation rates, median household costs, median salaries for a home. So there's just a lot of good information in there. And then the last panel I'll cover is typically something your facilities people or your business manager are interested in. We have 4 different insurance lines that we run through our PSBA Insurance Trust: unemployment compensation, travel accident, volunteer risk management, and student accident insurance. And then my final panel here is just to thank everybody for their time. I hope I didn't go too fast. I just want to respect your time. I know meetings can go on very long. Plus, you're going to get all this information in your emails no later than tomorrow morning. And I'll be coupling this with another Word document that you can go on and you can go through the hyperlinks and really dig deeper into the website to learn more about what we're doing. So if you have any questions, I can gladly entertain them. I didn't want to get off this call, though, without thanking John and Valerie for the time they spend coming into the weekly buzz. It's always nice to have a liaison and other board members that take the message back to their districts. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Don Hall is on this call, and I met Don several years ago when I was a board member at Kiski. So if he's still on the call, I just wanted to tell Don hello, and I hope you're well. That's everything I have, unless there are some questions I can answer.
Hey, Jim, this is John Ritter. We have a packed agenda tonight, so I'm just going to say thank you very kindly. And I'm going to point to Jim to say he is one of my heroes with the PSBA. you know, the school board members are people too. And so we get hurt, we get back into the corner, we get confused, we need suggestions, we need to bounce days off each other. Jim is a master at helping calm us all down, help us get to the heart of some of the issues, find out what works, what doesn't work, what's been tried before. He's a great historian. And so he and PSBA bring great value to school board directors who are trying to do a good job at doing the impossible. So thank you, Jim.
You're
for all the
welcome, John.
programs.
Yeah, and thank you for the kind words, but it's pretty easy to do when you have a passion and you're doing something as
Bingo.
purposeful as what we're doing. So keep up the good work, keep fighting the good fight. Have a safe end of the school year and a nice relaxing summer.
Thank you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Jim, I'd like to say hello back. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You guys take care.
All right, thank you, Mr. Somerville.
All right, and thanks, Bonnie.
Okay, take care.
All righty.
All right, if you disclose executive.
Thank you. I'd like to announce that we were in executive today talking about contracts and litigation. We were done at about 7:33. So from 6 to 7:33 for the record. All right. Thank you, Mr. McIntyre. All right, comments from residents on agenda items. Mrs. Isha, do you have anybody on your end?
No, I do not.
Gentlemen? Okay, moving on to section B, bills and financial reports. Mr. Schott?
Thank you, Mr. Gottman. This evening, we have Section B financial reports specifically comprised of Section B1, list of bills for the month of June 2021. Please note that an additional Section B1 will be added for the June regular board meeting. And also Section B2, monthly financial statements for the month of May 2021. As far as Section B3 budget transfers for the month of 2021, we do not have anything currently on the agenda, but we may possibly add some budget transfers for the final June regular board meeting on June 15th. But we present these statements this evening for the board's review.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schott. Any questions, comments on section B? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to section C, tabled items. Mrs. Warning. Okay. All right, then we're gonna move on to section D, personnel. Mrs. Crump.
Thank you, Mr. Gottman. Presented for you this evening are items 1 through 7 to be presented at the following board meeting on Tuesday, June 15th. Under resignations, we have 2 listed. We also want to congratulate Brenda Galando. She is a paraprofessional at Mosside Middle School who has been with us for 10 years and has decided to retire at the end of this year. So we wish her the best. Under leave of absence, we have 2 for the current year. Under transfers, we have quite a few per the collective bargaining agreement. So there are 13 in a total listed, 11 per the CBA, and there are 2 that are confidential positions. Under section 4 for employment, we have a substitute food service worker, a summer food service worker, recommendation for early literacy, extended school year, an additional extended school year paraprofessional, 3 individuals for the Gator Aid program, 4 for the summer curriculum planning, and 2 additional athletic event workers. Under section 5, we have some of the supplementals for athletics listed. On the next week's agenda, you will see also the additional supplementals which will be included. Under 6, for athletic event workers, there is an exhibit A for this section, and that's to approve the 2021-22 rates of pay for event workers as listed, and that's a recommendation from Mr. Hall. Under 7, we have an additional volunteer, and currently under section 8 for the professional personnel contract, we are requesting that that be moved to an action item.
All right, so first up, do you have any questions or comments on section D?
I just want to congratulate Brenda. I've had the fortune of working with her, and she will be missed. So she good luck in her retirement.
Got the same thing as me.
All right. Just for clarification, since 8 is looking, we're supposed to make that an action item. Do we need a motion for that?
Good.
For number 8, professional personnel contract.
Sorry, I can't hear Val.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to make number 8, professional personnel contract, be moved to an action item.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Warning, second by Mr. Williams. Can we do a roll call vote, Mrs. Isha?
Is that to make it an action item?
Yes, just number 8.
Okay. Mrs. Delaney,
Aye.
Mr. Gallagher,
Aye.
Mr. Gottman,
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre,
Aye.
Ms. Mungo,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning.
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
and Mrs. Cerucci.
Aye.
All right, so now the number 8 is an action item. We have a motion to approve number 8.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Williams, second by Mrs. Warning. Do we have any questions or comments for number 8? All right, seeing none, Mrs. Isha, another roll call, please.
Mr. Gallagher,
Aye.
Mr. Gottman,
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre.
Aye.
Ms. Mungo,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mrs. Cerucci,
No.
and Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, we're gonna move on to section F. We have we got one page here for action items, followed by items for discussions. We're gonna start with the action items. Dr. Short.
If we could have Mr. Schott, you want to take a few items?
Bold print only, if that.
I promise I have a total 20. I'm saving. I actually have one resolution regarding the general fund budget. I will read in its entirety, but I will try to keep everything brief. Specifically, Section F Administrative Report Action Items. Resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors approves and authorizes as appropriate the following items 1 through 6 as listed in Section F Administrative Report at the study session meeting of Monday, June 7th, 2021, specifically comprised of the following 6 items. Item number 1 is the approval of the renewals and premium payments for district insurance coverage policies for the 21-22 fiscal year as depicted below. Item number 2, approval of the Forbes Road Career and Technology Center revenue anticipation note for the 21-22 fiscal year. That's depicted in Exhibit A. Item number 3, approval to sell damaged and obsolete food service department equipment for the 2021 fiscal year. Item number 4, approval of Allegheny Intermediate Unit number 3 memorandum of understanding for Title III federal fund services for the 21-22 fiscal year, and that's depicted in Exhibit B. Item number 5, approval of purchase of improvement bond, Gateway Middle School renovation project construction fund for the 21-22 and 22-23 fiscal years as depicted below. And item number 6, approval of purchase for a builder's risk insurance policy, the Gateway Middle School renovation project construction fund for 21-22 and 22-23 fiscal years. Please note that this is listed as an action item, even though it is to be determined. We expect to get the quote from the carrier and the premium any day now. And in order to have this particular policy in place and bound prior to June 21st, that's the reason why we wanted to make this an action item, but I will work with Mrs. Isha to update this information as soon as it becomes available.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. McIntyre. Any questions or comments on the action items for section F?
Just since it's already up there, I get where you're coming from, Mr. Schott, but I have a hard time voting on a TBD dollar amount. You know, I don't know how anybody else feels, but that's kind of a.
I agree.
Is there any way we can do this a different way and still meet our deadline? I can't vote for a blank check. I mean, I'm not saying that I think it would get, you know, we're going to get railroaded, but I'm not comfortable with a TBD.
One way around it, Mr. Schott, if you have an idea of an amount or a range,
Not to exceed.
you could do that, but that's up to you.
I have honestly not seen the number yet for this particular one. Again, these funds will be coming from the new bond monies that we have. So, you know, it will not have any direct impact on the general fund as opposed to the annual debt service payments for that. So it would be coming out of the project budget for this particular insurance coverage.
Why can't you wait till next week, Mr. Shaw?
We can, but again, it'll be potentially cutting it close. I mean, if that's the flavor of the board to move this to next Tuesday, we can definitely do that.
And
I think it is the flavor of the board.
Yeah, so
If that's what you want to do, you have to amend the motion to approve action items 1 through 5, and then to move,
like we just make a motion to table number 6.
not table it, you'll just move it to become an action.
Discussion item.
All right.
Correct.
All right, motion to remove 6 from an action item and approve items 1 to 4, or 1 through 5, excuse me.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Cerrucci, second by Mr. McIntyre to approve items 1 through 5 in section F and table or removing number 6, putting it to items for discussion. I don't have any questions, comments. So could we do a roll call, please, Mrs. Eshaw?
You have to, you're right. You have to address the first motion.
You gotta do my motion first.
Which is approved.
Go around and either accept or deny the first motion, and then we'll move on to the second.
Okay, so your first motion was to approve them all of them. Okay, so Mrs. Eshaw, we're gonna do a roll call on Mr. Williams' original motion, which is to approve all 6 items.
Why don't you just do all in favor? Because
All
it's
right.
not going to get voted.
Can we do all in favor for Mr. Williams first?
Right now, we were voting. Mr. Williams made a motion to approve all 6. The board has discussed and decided that it's probably better to leave number 6 off until next week, but we need to officially vote down the original motion.
Correct.
So he's going to say all in favor, and you need to say no. Then he's going to say opposed, and you say.
Tell me how to vote.
Yes, I am.
Explaining what
I'm
the
explaining
answer-
what the yes and no vote means.
All right.
All right.
Okay,
So-
let's try that.
All those in favor of approving all 6 items, say aye. All those opposed?
No, no.
Okay,
John.
okay, noes have it.
All right.
So is
All right.
Mary Beth's motion still on the table?
Yep, so then Mrs. Eshaw, whenever you're ready, we're going to then go with Mary Beth's motion to approve items 1 through 5 while removing number 6 to put onto items for discussion.
Okay, let me think about this. 1 moment, please. Okay, Mr. Gottman,
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre,
Aye.
Ms. Mungo,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning.
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mrs. Cerrucci,
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney,
Aye.
Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now we're going to move on to the other half of section F, items for discussion. Dr. Short.
Elementary education, we can start with Dr. Rossi.
Thank you, Dr. Short. Item number 1, approve the following agreements as listed, and there are 5 of those. Item number 2 is approve the purchase of the following textbook resources and to execute all associated agreements as listed, and there are 15 of those.
Item number 3, Aviana healthcare agreement as depicted in Exhibit A. Item number 4, overnight excursion, GHS, marching band, window ensemble, orchestra, November 26th, 37th.
All right, I'll take the rest. Item number 5, approval of final cafeteria fund budget for the 21-22 fiscal year as depicted. Item number 6, approval of final general fund budget for the 21-22 fiscal year. Approve and adopt the final general fund budget for the 21-22 fiscal year in the current amount of $87,466,000, reflecting an increase in expenditures of $11,606,000 or 15.3% more than the general fund budget for the 2021 fiscal year. The final general fund budget currently does include an increase in the district's real estate tax millage rate. Thus, the real estate tax millage rate will increase from 20.1655 mils by 0.7259 mils to 0.8914 mils for the 21-22 fiscal year. The 20.8914 mils is the equivalent of $2.08914 on each $100 of assessed valuation of taxable real estate property in the district. Please note, currently the district may be required to utilize unassigned fund balance in the amount of $320,000 to balance the general fund budget for 21-22 fiscal year. The above budget amounts will change prior to final adoption by the board at the June 15th, 2021 regular board meeting. Item number 7, approval of the Homestead and Farmstead exclusion real estate tax assessment reduction for 2021. Specifically, what that amounts to for the 2021-22 fiscal year is a reduction in assessed value of $8,844.31, which equates to a reduction of $184.77 on each eligible homestead tax bill sent from the district. Item number 8, approval of payment of the Section B1 list of bills for the month of July 2021. Item number 9, renewal of Waterfront Learning District Cyber School through the Allegheny Intermediate Unit number 3 for the 21-22 fiscal year and is depicted in Exhibit B. Item number 10, approval of service agreement with CTI Water Treatment Solutions for heating and cooling water treatment services for the 21-22 fiscal year and is depicted in Exhibit C. Item number 11, approval of Allegheny Intermediate Unit number 3 educational services agreement for the 21-22 fiscal year and is depicted in Exhibit D. Item number 12, approval of Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV federal funds preliminary allocation amounts for the 21-22 fiscal year is depicted below. Item number 13, extension of the current liquid propane gas service agreements with Feral Gas for the 22-23 fiscal year. Item number 4, approval of the Tricog Land Bank's notice of intent to acquire 2 Monroeville properties located within the Gateway School District as depicted in Exhibit E. Item number 15, approval of renewal and premium payment for district insurance coverage policy for 21-22, specifically for workers' compensation. That is listed as to be determined as of this particular point in time. We're waiting for one more quote to come in to be able to move forward with the named carrier and the named premium. Item number 16, agreement for continued participation in the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services administered school-based access program for the 21-22 fiscal year. And again, just with the timing of the meetings, as we've done every year in June, we anticipate this information coming out in the next several weeks after the June 15th regular board meeting, and to be able to exercise those documents and return them to the Department of Human Services prior to June 30th. Item number 17 is a resolution regarding participating school districts' approval to allow the 2021 tuition refund from the Allegheny Intermediate Unit for those district students who attend the Eastern Area Special Schools to be sent to and used by the Eastern Area Special Schools for expenses associated with the repair and replacement of the Sunrise School roof. And that is as depicted there. And number 18, resolution regarding participating school districts' approval to authorize the hiring of an architect by the Eastern Area Special Schools to perform all necessary tasks associated with the repair and replacement of the Sunrise School roof, also as depicted in Section F. And that concludes Section F, with the exception of the other item, the item number 6, which will be included in that section for the June 15th regular board meeting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schott.
You're welcome.
You can take a break.
Thanks.
All right, do you have any questions or comments on Section F discussion items? There are a lot of them.
I'm just going to talk a little bit about the 2 resolutions regarding Sunrise. The first one, 17. What has happened in the past was the IU has charged more than, I don't want to say they should have, but more than they should have. And they have been refunding money to the schools where the students, where they are from. So thanks to Mr. Williams that had made the comment to me about getting the refunds back and giving them to the capital improvement program. That's what we plan on doing with the refunds going back to Sunrise, all the schools. We're looking, last year they refunded about $600,000 to the schools. So that money would go into the capital fund improvement fund, which would help compensate the cost of the roof. So we're doing that. And also with the architect that we're looking to hire, we have to get this roof fixed. It needs to be done. So we don't know what the cost would be, but approximately 1% of what the roof would be, which we're looking at $1.3 to $1.5 million. And I just wanted to give an update on that. That's it.
So I got a question on that. What's in section F? Is that going to replace your table item?
Not yet.
All right. Do you have any other questions on section F?
I just quickly, under secondary education, item number 4, the overnight excursion. If I'm reading this right, it's looking like the request for $40,000 for the Disney trip. Am I reading that right?
Funded by the boosters.
No direct cost to the district.
We're just giving.
Okay, so that might be something that would, does it say that there?
I
Okay.
can tell you it's not in the budget anywhere.
They pay their own way.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be fine with throwing something, but. And how does one sign up to be at one of those 16 chaperones for a free trip to Disney World?
Join band.
All right.
That's the only question I have.
Okay. I got just a few here, some housekeeping ones. For elementary education number 2, there are some items, well, 2 items that are pending in price. Do we know when we're gonna get the cost of those?
We're waiting on, I actually got one tonight, the AP biology, is gonna be around $1,500 or so. And I'm waiting on the other one because we haven't decided yet if we're gonna choose Wonders or Into Reading. And that'll be decided this week.
Okay. All right, and then Mr. Schott, items 15 and 16 are both to be determined. Are we gonna have the figure by next week?
That's the plan, sir.
Okay. And I'll just make a final comment on number 14. Fun houses. I actually live near one house. I've seen it, and if one of the concerns is tricog, it will make the front look all pretty to take away some of the blight. But in terms of being able to get this house back on the market, have a tenant in there, and collect on school taxes, the way property's been going, especially around my neighborhood, by not having this go to tricog, that whole process would be sped up immensely once it goes to sheriff's sale. So the exterior of the house is not in bad a shape as other pictures we've seen from other houses. So for me, like I would say no to that. But that's just my thoughts on it.
Where's this house at?
Firestone or Firestone? Firestone. No, Fieldstone. Fieldstone.
420 Fieldstone.
So.
I'm just gonna piggyback off that. So I don't believe they property yet in our district, so.
We have to buy one in our district to sell.
All right. Final questions, comments? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to comments from residents on non-agenda items. Mrs. Eshad, do you have anybody?
I do not know.
Gentlemen? All right, then we move on to board reports, starting with the superintendent reports of Dr. Short.
Thank you, Mr. Gottman. First and foremost, tomorrow night, very special evening for class 2018 commencement will be held at the Marino Stadium beginning at 7 p.m.
No, just slide the mic over.
There we go. Once again, commencement will take place tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. at Gateway High School Stadium. Look forward to a wonderful event. It's been a long time coming. Our seniors were at rehearsal today and did a fabulous job and are excited. And it was great to see the atmosphere, especially coming out of COVID and everything that our seniors have been through. Again, 7 p.m. tomorrow night. It is streamed. It will be on TV. You can access that on the Gateway School District website and look forward to a wonderful evening. If weather should pop up, I will alert everyone via email, text, and through the news stations. But speaking with Mr. Stevens not too long ago, it looks as if things should work out tomorrow. Thank you.
That was great news. All right, Dr. Rossi,
Nothing further. Thank you.
Dr. Jakey, Mrs. Bungard.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Schott,
Nothing further. Thank you.
Mrs. Crump,
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Bob Brown, since you're in the house.
Nothing, thank you.
All right, then we're gonna move on to the school board members. So Mrs. Warning.
Yes, first off, I just want to say that I had the pleasure of watching 4 kindergartens graduate last week. And those little happy campers didn't miss a beat. Everybody was so excited, and it's really good just to see the innocence of these kids and, you know, looking forward to them going through Gateway. So, all right. It's the end of the year school speech here. As we come to the end of this very unique and often challenging school year, I just want to take a few moments to say thank you. Thanks to our school board for all the leadership and support it has provided throughout this COVID crisis. To our administrators, faculty, and support staff who pulled together to help our students and families and each other. To everyone within our Gateway district, thank you for your willingness to change directions at almost a moment's notice when we were forced to close our buildings in March. We pulled together to completely rethink the way we do business, from instruction to food service to technology to maintenance and our daily operations. To our teachers, support staff, and administrators for your commitment to our students and delivery of quality instruction. This work could never have been done without you. And thank you for sticking by your students throughout this hectic year and greeting each one with a smile every morning, for creating an environment of safety and regularity in their days, for you communicating with families beyond your normal working hours, and for your empathy, patience, and perseverance. And to our graduating seniors, congratulations. You've been faced with challenges like no other graduating class. You survived, and tomorrow you will join the ranks of graduates from Gateway. Remember that we are always here for any of your future needs. Remember, once a Gator, always a Gator. And good luck.
Thank you, Mrs. Warning. Mr. Williams.
I'd like to concur what Val just said. I couldn't have said it any better.
All right, Mrs. Searchy.
Well said, Mrs. Warning.
You should have saved Val for last.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Nobody wants to follow you.
How you want to take the podium tomorrow?
Mrs. Delaney.
I also want to say a very good speech as far as, can you hear me?
Yeah, that would take
Can't hear myself. Yeah, as far as wishing all of our staff, administrators, and teachers and students for a challenging year. So very well said. I also want to wish all of our graduates the very best in their future. And I'm looking forward to the graduation tomorrow. And one other little point, a lot of times I like to bring up a little history. I don't know how many are familiar with the race massacre of 1921, May 31st, June 1st, in Greenwood, Oklahoma. I'm just curious. Okay, I know many people aren't, and because it hadn't always been in the textbooks, and it was one of the worst race riots and massacres that we have in our history, and it's very unfortunate. But again, like other things, when they talk of culturally responsive teaching and all, these are things that have happened in our history, as unfortunate as they are, but they still should be known about. At least 300 people were killed. At least 800 were wounded. At least 8,000 were displaced from their homes, and they had never been able to bring that area back. It was an affluent Black area in the Tulsa area called Greenwood. And
Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street. And for many, if you had an opportunity to watch any of the presentations that they had, because this marked the 100th year of that incident occurring. And there are, in fact, a couple of presentations. The one that I had seen, part one, and then actually part two is tomorrow. But it does tell you how everything got started, how it began, how it escalated, and again, just over something that it should never have happened when we talk about things that could be avoided or could be prevented, but it did. So if you haven't probably educate yourself on those kinds of things, just so you're aware of what has happened in our history so that we don't ever repeat our history. That's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Delaney. Mr. McIntyre.
Again, I think Val said it very well. Just congratulations to all the graduating seniors. This is my fourth graduating class that I've sat on the board for. As of right now, it's my last. It was definitely a unique one. Fortunately, they're going to have a somewhat normalized graduation ceremony. But I got to point out again, last year's efforts, I think, by Dr. Short administration to pull that graduation together were very commendable. I think everybody's efforts this year, as Val said, to do everything possible within the restrictions that were laid upon us, multiple different levels that changed every 10 minutes throughout the summer. This past year has felt like more of a full 4-year term than it has just a normal school year. So I appreciate everybody's patience and perseverance. And again, congratulations to the class of 21.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McIntyre. Mrs. Mungo.
I also echo Mrs. Warning's comments. Very well said. And I just want to say congratulations to the graduating class. Congratulations to the parents. I know it was a difficult year, and I just want to thank the community for, it was a village. It took a village for us to get through this, and I appreciate that. And please be safe this summer, and we look forward to seeing you guys in the fall.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Mungo. Mr. Gallagher.
All right. I also echo everything Val said. That was beautifully said. It did take a lot to get through this year. And I just want to say something to our graduates. As challenging as the end of last year and this year has been, you overcame those challenges, and by overcoming those, you are very well equipped to take on any unforeseen things in life. So when challenges come up, just know that you've already met an extreme challenge and persevered through that. So congratulations to you. Also wanted to say that I'll be working with Mr. Brown to schedule a walkthrough for Building and Grounds Committee before we get back into class. I know you don't have anything else going on this summer, so but also while I'm speaking about Mr. Brown, I wanted to extend a thank you from a community member to you and your team. That there was a concern that was brought up, and it was handled very well and quickly. So I want to extend that thank you to you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Ritter.
All right. So listen, I was sitting in the back with Val and Dr. Short, watching these little kids that walk across the stage, getting their little diploma, going from first to second grade or whatever. All of a sudden, this one little kid, he is so happy. He skips with one leg and walks with the other. It was I've never seen a walk like this, a skip like this. So I couldn't tell from that whether he was confidently striding from first to second grade, or he was skipping because he was happy that school was over and summer was ahead. He was going to get to play with all his buddies. So I challenged the graduating seniors, come up with some peculiar walk and make a mark on the audience. That was lovely. And so Dr. Short and I had a chance just to watch the proceedings going on, and it occurred to both of us. We had a small part to play with in this, helping these kids, have a building, cafeteria, buses, and teachers, and all this stuff. We had a small part to play, but to actually see the joy in these kids' eyes, and how proud the teachers were to move from one grade to the next. I mean, it's just what an honor it is for us, school board members, just to sit back and play a small part in that. So thanks to all the other school board members and the teachers and the staff. We've got a summer coming up. Enjoy it as well as you can. And we'll look forward to seeing you again in August. Okay? Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. All right. I guess I got what about my report?
So hot in here.
All right. I'll finish the echoes with Mrs. Warning's statement. I mean, it couldn't be any more true. Thank you to all the administration, the teachers, faculty, staff. This has been probably the hardest year ever. I mean, when I was in school, we had 9/11, the uncertainty, and comparing that to this, I mean, that was a breeze. not to make light of it, but everything the students that everyone went through was really hard, but we made it through. And now that we're finally come back to our stadium for graduation and looking at the end of this pandemic is a testament to all the hard work we've put into this. And I can't think of it enough. My comments for the senior class, you have to stay tuned for tomorrow. And I did want to do some art, but it's really hot in this room.
To adjourn.
So we'll save the artwork for next week. And I did hear a motion adjourned by Mrs. Cerrucci, second by Mr. McIntyre. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Meeting
Cheers,
adjourned.
guys. Bye-bye.